Bonsoir, Elliot. I mean, Beast Wars fans. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another Beast Wars series review. We're cranking them out in record time. I'm trying to watch and review and edit at least one episode per week. And they seem to be averaging out at about an hour each, which is kind of what I expected. Yeah, I tend to waffle on a little bit. I know I'm constantly having extra thoughts and ideas post-edit and post-releasing the apps too, so I've got like a bit of extra shit to say about the last episode in the beginning of this one, and then kind of going from there, kind of making that the kind of loose structure. Also seem to, when I do stuff like this off the cuff, like freestyle shit, the structure will start to present itself to me. Kind of like you're digging for something and you find like a little piece of it. You can't know for sure that there's a larger structure attached to it, but you just know that there's more to it underneath the surface. You just got to keep digging. So what I noticed unconsciously is when I'm greeting you at the beginning of these videos, I'm making some kind of random pop cultural reference. So in, I guess, episode 2, outside of episode 1, episode 2, I greeted you with Yo-Ho Diablo, which is something I've been saying on and off for almost as long as Beast Wars has been around. So Yo-Ho Diablo was this kid's toy, I guess. It was more of a toy, but it's since become a full-fledged sport. It's I can't even describe it really. I'll just put the clip in here as well so you can see it like I put it in last time, but it's like a couple of sticks and strings, and you got to rotate like some kind of, not a ball, but some kind of thing that you roll in between the two sticks. And yeah, I can't even describe the shit. But yeah, Yo-Ho Diablo. And then today I was like, Bonsoir. It just reminded me of Mr. Robot. So if ever there was a TV experience that should be experienced, obviously by adults, yeah, it's definitely Mr. Robot. Even though I think it kind of didn't really answer a lot of things and questions that it raised, and I think it could have gone in one more season. It was a near perfect TV experience, and yeah, I thought I'd reference that. So every like episode I'll start off with maybe a different greeting that references a different pop cultural item, just for the fuck of it. And then I thought, well, you know, since I did the Breaking Megatron, which was at the end of end of the episode 2 review, like fully did the lines, I was kind of quite happy with how they came out. So I was thinking of actually, yeah, transplanting like Beast Wars characters into other sort of pop cultural iconic TV shows, like Mr. Robot. Like I could put, you know, a couple of characters and act out a couple of scenes from Mr. Robot. Or maybe even at the end of this episode, I might maybe put Beast Wars characters like in a Sopranos scenario. Yeah, like Tony Soprano. Don't know who I'd get to play each character. I'll figure that out as I go. But yeah, that's just like kind of just happened. So as it happens, now I'm just making it a recurring feature of each review. So there you fucking go. All right. So I guess I wanted to start these reviews, yeah, or maybe some random shit in the beginning, whatever's on my mind, like I just did now. But how I really want to kick things off is just to briefly recap the last episode, but then also just start to add some additional observations. So I won't get too wordy with the recap because, you know, I think an hour dedicated to each of these episodes is enough. I probably don't need to do a previously on Beast Mojo's Beast Wars review series. God, what a fucking mouthful.
That's what she said!
Yeah, so brief recap, which was Beast Wars Part 2, written by Bob Forward. The Maximals and Predacons race to the Energon Mountain. They duke it out. Megatron is seemingly defeated, but jumps away at the last minute. They establish Dinobot as part of the Maximals, although he's not altogether happy that he can't lead the group, which I'll get to in a minute. And we establish the beginning of what is officially titled as the Beast Wars by Primal. You know, he triumphantly raises his fist, yells out, "Let it be called Beast Wars!" In the last episode, I did instruct y'all to whip it out and start shredding. That request stands every time you hear some immense guitar rock and roll riffing. Okay, which is often. Like you got to pay attention to that background soundscape and the score that's going on. Like they really nailed the sound, and it was this weird mix of just hardcore shredding and guitar solos, which I'm not even fully convinced were being played. It almost sounds like it's like what AI can make now, which is the odd fucking thing. It sounds like what AI can replicate now, and I gotta look into it. I'm not sure. Like I think I saw a guitar in in the behind the scenes making of little video that was made in '96. So there'll probably a couple of musicians on board in there somewhere, adding actual guitar riffs and playing the damn music. Or it could have just been all composed at a high level too. I mean, I did say the sound design was really superior. So we've established the beginning of the Beast Wars. I really loved going back to seeing that opening two-parter, which was essentially like the pilot movie, pretty much. It's like a 45 minute movie at this point. Much like how the Agenda trilogy would pretty much translate to almost a feature-length film, because it would be just over like an hour and some change. So this was like the Beast Wars opening pilot movie. Great use of character of time restraints. Like they only have 20 to 22 minutes to tell their story. Probably 20 minutes minus the intro, outro, previously on, next on, minus all that, you get like 20 minutes worth of stuff. And it may sound like a lot, but that's not really a lot of time to work with to establish so many characters and situations. But once again, we will highlight, as I'm sure I'll do in every fucking subsequent episode of this series review, is the insanely high level of IQ involved with the writing and the shepherding of the story and of the characters. So endless thanks to Bob and Larry on that front. The one thing I did sort of start to formulate as a thought, and this is based on someone who, if we haven't established this already, was there from the beginning of this series back in '96. And I'm 40 years old, will soon be turning 41. Holy shit, in a couple of months. It's already April, people. What the fuck? Someone who's been around for a hot minute. It's cool to be able to revisit my first real fandom obsessed passion that was perfectly timed with my access to the newly released publicly available internet and learning the ins and outs of what the fuck this space is. To have those things converge to produce just one of the most memorable experiences I've had in the pop culture spectrum. It's all of those things, but none of that shit would matter if it wasn't well written and it wasn't a well told story, wasn't mind-blowingly animated and soundscaped. It's just an insanely well-made product. If I'm gonna speak in terms of like an exec and calling it product and content and all that shit, it is actually like just a beautiful piece of art, you know. And this again goes back to the points I raised in the opening episode, I think, episode review, which was the resilience of your writers. So the resilience of Bob and Larry to take the disparate parts and to know their limitations and restrictions and things they are forced to work with, things they only have available at their disposal, and making them work. So yeah, the resilience of your writers, of your creatives, is what's going to drive everything forward and make it just so memorable at the end of the day. So as my first real fanboy experience where I was able to fully express how much I loved something by starting my own website in 1997 called Beast Mojo's Beast Wars Sanctuary, which was just a one-page site, but then grew into, multiple iterations over many years. I think I had it till about 2003 or something like that. in a different form, different web addresses over the years, to then being up in the forums. I think I mentioned in the podcast and the other videos that I was on Axelon Underground back in the day, and the Bot Talk forums, which I think recently got taken offline. But AUG is back up and running apparently, so could maybe hit that spot up, but I can't remember anyone, and I don't think anyone's going to fucking remember me. So I'm just going to stick to my little corner here in YouTube land, maybe. And then just kind of from there, I realized how this thing worked. If I really wanted to stand for something, I knew the avenues I could take were limitless because I had the power of the internet at my disposal. I knew I was in some kind of weird turning point in world history, where, not to say that in previous iterations of society we have reached peak technological brilliance, and I'm sure that we had some version of this. I'm 100% sure we had some version of this. I'm just saying, for this current cycle, this is the most memorable and probably life-altering thing that we could have experienced, was the emergence of the internet in the 90s. Its utility in just allowing to facilitate whatever. It did become just the engine that could drive any kind of creative idea. And this is just the, optimistic side of it. Obviously, the internet is a doorway to all kinds of depraved shit, and still is. That's what makes it the internet. But it does also do the opposite. So it was very odd experiencing that, and then having a show like Beast Wars, which looked out of this fucking world in 96, and still looks out of this fucking world. I'm still amazed. Rewatching this, only 2 episodes deep, is so fucking enjoyable, so immersive. Everything's just well thought out. Like the actual prehistoric nature of the planet they are on, which is Earth, but they're still toying with the notion that it's an unknown planet. Primal says it at the end of Ep 2. But you just really, when I'm actually listening to this on headphones, I don't usually watch the episodes on headphones. I've traditionally watched these on TV and on big sound systems as well, so they're boom and they're loud. But rarely have I watched them with headphones. And these 4K AI upscales with the sound beefed up as well. It's with headphones on max, cranked up to 11, as they say. Wow, just immersive as hell. You really get immersed into the entire environment. The soundscaping, I've said already like 3 times in this short 15 minutes I've been talking already. Every little mechanical movement, every little scrape, every little robotic footstep. It really was something special, and it really grabbed your attention from the get-go. From Ep 1 and 2, it took itself seriously enough that you could feel the intensity of what was happening. Okay, and this is going to lead directly into the last episode. Just a brief observations. Megatron's final delivery of the line,
"It is never over! No! For if I must die, I shall take you with me!"
What? A lot of intense shit happening. A lot of things that, it gets counterbalanced by shit like just Wasbinator popping up and saying anything, When you got a character who's just gonna rock up and just suddenly go, and before they speak, and then say some shit in third person and be like, Wasbinator not like, and be like, whatever seriousness you had, it's immediately undercut by this guy. So it had to counterbalance, a lot of the serious shit, but you could just see there was this like fully adult natured, full sci-fi epic story just waiting to scream out of the screen, just tear on out of the written word of the pages of Bob and Larry and all the other writers, and just be like balls to the wall sci-fi action epic. And that's I guess in parallel to what the internet did for just creatives like me, bedroom producers and people who just did shit for the fuck of it from their own home. Like, this would have been a way to unhinge yourself as an established creative like Bob and Larry. They'd been in the industry for many, many years up to that point doing what they were doing. But to suddenly have that be expressed in this relatively new medium that only had Reboot and I think one other cartoon that doesn't get mentioned enough in the Pantheon, but I think there was at least a couple of CGI cartoons before Beast Wars made its debut. But to be part of something as a creative and then seeing this as the new iteration of what animation could be, shit, man, that would have been mind-blowing for Bob and Larry too. 100%. And that's the same thing when I think about this, you know, in the modern times, in the current AI-infused society, which was always going to be the case. We knew it was coming. Anyone surprised by any of the integrations that we're experiencing currently in the current world in our society, you just have not been paying attention. AI is what it is. As far as I'm concerned, it's not some rogue intelligence. It's just way more computer processing power. Just like so much that you think it might be godlike. But it is not. It's just got way more juice behind it as far as I'm concerned. So much like Bob and Larry, I guess when you're confronted with this new technology and you're trying to somehow make it work within your current understanding of creativity and artistry, resilience comes into play big time, because that's when you're being confronted almost existentially. Maybe not so much Bob and Larry with the animation side of things. That would have been more like, oh, this is cool as fuck. Now I can imagine to do this, that, and the other thing that maybe wouldn't have been possible. Sure, it's more expensive, but it's probably a lot more easy to animate things that you would not have been able to with traditional animation. So there's an element of embracing the new tech and realizing that it can just be another tool in your tool shed. It is part of your armory. It is part of your toolkit. It's there to help you express the best version of whatever it is you are wanting to express. Full fucking stop. So for me, and for at least a select few of my artist friends, we see AI and use AI in the exact same fashion. It is just an additional arm in the tentacle of our creative hydra. Okay, it's just another tool that we can utilize. I could totally see if like Beast Wars was made now. Jeez Louise. If Beast Wars was made now, I'm pretty sure you could just jump straight into maybe Unreal Engine and bang out a whole season of Beast Wars in half the time it took them back in 96, and for like not even like a fraction of the cost. Definitely not going to cost you 26 milli, that's for sure. Now, character-wise, I had a bit of a, well, early on revelation, or just maybe just remembering more about Dinobot's really interesting time with the Maximals during Season 1 in particular. Because Season 2, like I said in the last ep review, you don't get as much time to just meander and languidly live with these characters and see them do just little minor things that really help build character. So when I'm thinking of Dinobot in particular, he, in the first 2 episodes, comes across so fucking self-confident, so sure of himself that he is a battle-hardened badass that you shouldn't fuck with. And he constantly presents himself as such. But what do we see happen to him in the first scene that he's in part 1 of the first episode of Season 1? He curses out Megatron, and then Scorponok blasts him out of the base and up and over the fucking mountains. That was the first scene he was in. And then he pops up again on the bridge challenging Optimus Primal, because he's like, well, fuck. Alright, so my tough guy thing didn't really work with the Predacons. And I'll get to the reasons why, because we get pretty deep with that with Season 1 and 2. So he naturally, I guess, assumes if he goes to the Maximals, he's assuming the Maximals are going to be, you know, not as aggressive, not as well at fighting, and should be easier for him to conquer and rule, right? Because that's what he wants to do. He just wants to be a leader. But what he doesn't see now, and what he will come to find, is that he is not leader material. He's definitely a good addition to a team. He's really, and I'm being a bit harsh here, he's really a glorified grunt, right? He's a soldier. He proved that at the very end, right before he sacrificed himself in Season 2. He's a soldier through and through. And it took a little while for him to wrestle with that fact in Season 1, right? Because he kept challenging the leadership all the way up to Season 2 in the beginning. When you remember Season 2, Episode 1, Aftermath, Dinobot immediately pivots back to, I should be, and we all know what he's going to say, you know, I should be leading the group. And before he can even get his sentence completely out, this is the point that I'm coming to, he is very quickly put back in his fucking place. Rhinox grabs him by the throat, lifts him up into the sky, up to his face, and looks him in the eye and says, I'm in a bad mood. Understand? Uh-huh. Like, the amount of times he has to be comically reminded. It's like, alright, Dinobot, stop talking shit. Like, you know, usually it's just a bit of a reminder or a remark or a quip. From Rattrap, maybe it would have been a physical response, but in that instance, Rhinox just went straight for the physical response. Like, I don't have time for your shit. Primal just got obliterated. We're under attack. We don't have time for this bullshit. It's like he just underestimated everyone. First, underestimated Megatron in, you know, thinking he's going to have some kind of honorable duel, but he gets his honorable duel with Optimus. And as I pointed out in the live reaction, he was enjoying the fuck out of that, especially when he got to the sword fight, because once they started having the sword fight and Dinobot's smiling almost during the beginning of that, and then they compliment each other halfway through the fight, he didn't really get to that point until they both had their little moments of, you know, heroic empathy. First, Primal extending the hand, getting shot in the face for it. But then as he's teetering over the edge, Dinobot saving his life, and then both of them speaking about being honorable. So, at his core, he wants to be seen a certain way, but he's so desperate to be seen that way that it's almost like he's cosplaying as this vicious Predacon warrior. And that underneath, as will be pointed out by Megatron himself, is someone who is too affected by compassion and emotion and integrity and ethics and morals and overall heroicism, selflessness, none of the virtues that sit well with the extremist arm of the Predacon faction, which is what Megatron and his troops pretty much represent. Again, another reason why Dinobot didn't really fit. He had his own ideas, his own thoughts. Sure, he wanted the Predacons to reign supreme as well, but I don't know, maybe it was, and I'm just thinking just as it's coming to me now, it's probably the fact that he mingled with the Maximals, that he got to shed a lot more of that sort of hardcore ideologue, one-track minded Predacon bullshit that Megatron's on. He's ride or die, as we saw at the end of Ep 2. He's going to die for the cause, and he'll take you with him. He doesn't care. Dinobot, on the other hand, he's kind of a bit more pragmatic, where he has the capacity to be. And he's, through his experiences with the Maximals, as we'll come to see, sure, he still sneers at some of their values and some of the decisions specifically that Primal makes as they start to spend time together. But I'm reminded of the very excellent episode of one of so many in Season 1. I believe it was called Guerrilla Warfare. So in the beginning of that episode, Dinobot and Primal are kind of scouting an area. There's a philosophical difference between the two that's presented in that episode, as will be presented through many episodes, where Dinobot's philosophies butt heads with the Maximals, and DB has no choice at the end of the day. He has to make changes. He can't keep being the same person that he is. It doesn't make sense anymore. There's all these better options available. The Maximals are giving him alternatives that the Predacons would never, ever give him, or never allow him to have. At least not in that extremist sort of setting. Maybe if he was back in Cybertron and, you know, you're living under the Pax Cybertronia, you're not trying to incite another war, then maybe you might have a chance to live a normal life. But I don't know, whatever this backstory was led him to that. He sounds like someone who doesn't want to be what he is. So we see that pointed out by Megatron 2 in Season 2. Maximal No More, the episode where Dinobot, again, still so confused about who he wants to be, thinks that if he starts to just pretend to be that badass Predacon again, he can rejoin his previous team and lead the Predacons with Megatron to glory. But yeah, that just doesn't work out in that instance. And then really, I think Megatron himself says it in Code of Hero, right? They're having their throwdown as Dinobot's doing his heroic thing. Everything's burning around them. And Megatron just points it out and says, "You were weakened before you began, Dinobot. Weakened by compassion." So Megs always knew that about him. And I brought up Maximal No More because he asked him to kill Rattrap and he just couldn't do it. So he knows. He knows that is the fatal flaw of Dinobot in context of him being a Predacon and being amongst cold-blooded killers like Megatron, or, you know, backstabbers like Tarantulas, Scorponok, or Pterosaur. You can't trust anyone. You can't be friends with anyone. Who's he going to be mates with? Fucking Waspinator? Maybe. That might be the only kind of friendship he might be able to maintain. But even Waspinator, you know, he had plans, so you never know. And then, you know, Black Arachnia and Inferno, not the best like alternatives either. There's no one to really sit and shoot the shit with. Megatron would be the really only intelligent person he could really have a conversation with. But anyway, it really reminded me of this double act that was very masterfully portrayed. And then when you get to Code of Hero, which, you know, when we get to that, it's going to be such a fucking emotional gut punch of an episode. It could possibly go for like 2 hours. I don't know. These things are going to keep ballooning out as far as I can tell. Once we get to that, you'll see the true heart of Dinobot. He's resigned to his fate. He's accepted that he's made monumental mistakes, and now it's his chance to make it right. What you get to see over the course of this season and the next is epic development that results in the most heroic sacrifice of any fictional character that I've experienced in any fucking medium for the last 30 years. Code of Hero was all that and a bag of chips way back then, and still is now. I've seen in con footage whenever Bob Forwards talked about it, because Bob was the director, I believe, of that episode and storyboarded that episode, which is the only episode they ever storyboarded. He gets quite emotionally caught up when bringing up that episode, and I get emotionally caught up just thinking about that episode. It's just one of those things. It was just so perfectly made. It is so universally praised as the high watermark of the entire Transformers mythos. I think I said the exact same phrase in maybe episode 1 of the review series. I'm excited to go through the journey again. I really am, because I feel like I'm even more now appreciating how in depth they went with the characters and how much they paid off. There's a reason there's an audience still for this show, and people like me out there still talking about it, and that's why I'm doing this, because I want to get into the nitty gritty. We really want to break this down. This ain't just a kid's show with missiles and guns going pew pew pew. There's a lot more here to it, and we are going to get to it. Alright, so I guess outside of that, the only other thing I'll mention is I did call out, there was one scene in the episode, the last episode, where the Dinobot and Primal are fighting on the bridge, and I kept pointing out he's got his jetpack. You know, he's in robot mode. There's no danger of him just falling off a cliff. He should be able to fly and support himself. But then I realized, yeah, one of the jets at least had been damaged by Megatron in the fight prior to that. But generally what they've established up to then is that if you're in beast modes can affect repairs internally. What we, I think, established over the course of the series is that the beast modes do that, but they do it over a longer period of time. Whereas if you just have access to the CR tank, then, you know, that's going to just chop that down to half that amount of time. So between that happening, them being in beast mode, going all the way to the mountain, and then they got attacked on the mountainside, and then he flew both jetpacks. Both were working at that point. I don't know what they've established in terms of that. Is there's like an automated repair system, because you're a sentient robot, so there's got to be some kind of self-repair option that takes place when you're in beast mode. But has that been something that was established before anywhere in the Transformers lore? Going by that notion that should have been repaired, then it still tracks. Because I went through it like all wibbly wobbly, trying to break continuity and be like, I think, did they fuck up? Did they not think this one through? Let me just try and see if I can poke a hole in it, and it still works. So he had time to repair, but it must be like an automated repair. It's not like you got to actually get out like a wrench and a blowtorch and try to fix your jetpack. It's part of his robot mode. So yeah, I guess it's part of that kind of repair that happens when you're in beast mode. Anyway, nerdy sidebar. Let's get straight into episode 3. So we're gonna have a bit of fun with this one because it's Cheetor, everyone's favorite prepubescent, spunky, spotty, annoying little brat who thinks he's better than everyone, who can do everything better than everyone else. And they really made him growl a lot in between his dialogues. Like, I noticed that happening more frequently in episode 2, where he wouldn't just talk, he'd be like, it's like, it's not like Rhinox makes a noise before he fucking has dialogue, you know what I mean? Primal doesn't go like, it's like, no one's doing that. Rattrap sounds like he might be a little ratty with his voice, but he's not like going before he speaks. But Cheetor, on the other hand, feels the need to it's like just doing like regular shit, you know. Once again, since we're going to like these scenarios, it's like, okay, you're in the Axelon, you're one of the Maximals, you know, you're doing some sweeps of the surrounding area with your sensors to see if there's anything else, if there's anything out there, any dangers. And you just turn to Cheetor, who's doing the same thing with you, just chilling, you know, just chilling, relaxing. It's a slow day. And you're just trying to, you know, just shoot the shit, you know, get to know the kid a little bit better. See, man, hey man, Cheetor, look at the weather today, man, on this weird planet. It's all kind of cloudy and grey and shitty looking, don't you think? Oh yeah? You think that's shitty weather? That shitty weather's got nothing on me. On the fastest, fastest animal on 4 legs. The super pussycat, super jet turbo cat, fastest badass pussycat on Earth. Them storm clouds can never catch me. Uh-huh. Okay, buddy. Well, I'm just gonna go back to, you know, doing what I was doing. And you have yourself a good day. Wow. Oh yeah? I'll have a great day. Sure thing, pal. So, we've got the episode called The Web, Season 1, Episode Trace. So this is an episode that was written, the first one written by co-series editor Larry DiTillio and head writer Larry DiTillio. Rest in peace, Larry DiTillio. I think last time I mentioned he passed away a few years ago. I believe it was 2019. Yes, it was. He passed on 16th of March 2019 at the age of 71. Still too young. Still way too young. Yep, the first one written by Larry and directed by C. Michael Easton. So we do have a sort of recurring cast of directors and guest writers as well on staff. Now, I did do a podcast recording, the Sanctuary podcast, number 2. It's done about a couple of years ago. It goes for an hour and a half, and I literally went through like every episode, or at least name checked and shouted out every single director and writer that was credited on all 3 seasons. So whenever that goes up, it's just a whole episode of giving flowers to people who haven't necessarily gotten any. So I want to highlight each director and writer of each episode as well. So C. Michael Easton, director, Larry DiTillio, writer. So this is a very simple ep in terms of character building. Because we have 26 eps to work with, things still happen in the background, like things that happen episode to episode carry over. There's mad continuity. Actions have consequences. So in this one, I guess Cheetor's trying to... Well, he kind of fucks up a mission in the beginning, and he has to... He takes it upon himself to try and fix it. But then in true early Cheetor fashion, fucks up even further, and we get Rattrap to the rescue to rescue him from Tarantulas. A little bit happening in the background in terms of moving the plot forward, but this is all a lot of character building shit happening in the very early season 1 eps. So yeah, very Cheetor centric. Hopefully it's going to be entertaining, because it's an annoying Cheetor episode. I'm dubbing him Annoying Cheetor in these first few eps. And it's not going to happen going forward. I think from maybe Chain of Command onwards, I'm not really going to have much to say in terms of making fun of the poor guy. No shade to Ian James Corlett. The dude's a champion. But yeah, I've said what I've said, and I stand by it. But anyway, this is episode 3, The Web. Let's go. Love that opening shot as well. It's just like a one take shot, snaking all the way up the mountain and the waterfall.
Well, still needs a field test.
Test? I'm your bot. What you got?
Rhinox cobbled together a new comm link. It's going to solve our long-range communication problems. If it works.
Well, let's find out.
Just grabs it. Just swipes it.
Ultra gear.
Rhinox squinting his eyes.
It's a valuable piece of equipment. Take care of it.
I copy, Big Bot. What do I do?
The device is voice activated. Just talk into it and we'll hear you. We hope.
He says micro quads here. I'm pretty sure.
Base at Vector Omega and check in every 10 microquads. We'll see how far we can track you. If you encounter any Predacons, return immediately.
I'll be moving too fast for them to see me.
Ah, for fuck's sake. That's right.
You'll do fine.
Just those little touches. He laughed, and then his eyes went blank for a second to indicate that his eyes were closed during that little laugh. Good touch.
Megatron will reward me for finding this, if I can ever get it out of this blasted rock! Ah! Scorponok, terrorize!
Yeah, maximal symbol. That's when we first see it. Or at least that's when I first noticed the maximal symbol on Scorponok's missiles.
Cheetor to Optimus. Do you read me?
Yes. And he's over 5 microquads away. Looks like it's working.
Microquad.
I just heard some kind of explosion. I'm gonna check it out. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Explosion? Wait, Cheetor! Don't! He's moving again. I'm going after him. If he calls in, tell him to get out of there now!
Yeah, like, just go off on your own, mate. Like, I dig the confidence. It's good having confident employees, you know what I mean? It's what they put in all the job ads.
This is trouble.
Are you a young go-getter?
Maximize.
Are you going to maximize your potential? Shit.
Optimus is on his way. He said you should get out of there.
At least the comm link's working.
Do, baby blue. Scorponok's here and he's found a mega cannon. It must have come from their ship. I've got to stop him before he gets it back to their base. Cheetor out.
Yeah, doesn't listen to orders either.
Operational. Megatron will be pleased.
And you'll be slag if you don't stay right where you are, Clawful.
Why even announce yourself? Just shoot the
It
bastard.
makes me twitch. And there's a full charge in this beauty. Away from the big
could
boomer,
be.
plug ugly.
So it's chargeable. It's a chargeable weapon.
Cheater to
It's not a
base.
projectile
I got the gig
weapon
in hand.
specifically.
Tell Optimus to home in on my.
I asked about this in the last ep, in terms of running out of stores of weapons. So maybe some of them were just charged like an electric car.
And I'll make you scream.
That's how Tarantulas introduces himself on every date he's ever been on. Ouch.
Better grab that weapon while you can and get it back to base. Optimus is coming.
Don't give me orders. I'm second in command. You will take the cannon back, and I will see to Optimus. You hear me? Tarantulas? Tarantulas? Tarantulas?
Kind of establishing Tarantulas as this like ghostly presence. He just kind of pops up wherever the fuck. Like a spider.
Cheetor! Cheetor! Oh, his signal stopped. Could be energon interference. Better use scan mode.
Better use Cheetor fucked up mode. Yep, I use this mode way too many times.
Locking in.
Cheetor!
It's pretty gruesome, actually, how fucked he is. When you see his chest right about now. This always stayed with me.
Cheetor!
Boom.
No!
That was from one missile. And hello, Starscream. This is a dream sequence taking place on Cybertron, but apparently meant to introduce possibly a recurring motif of Cheetor having premonitions. First of all, we saw Starscream, and we know he's coming later in the season. We also see Tarantulas show up, Rattrap. All the events that take place later on in the episode kind of happen here, so be paying attention. And obviously we're in his mind because in his mind he's a golden Adonis.
Now it's just you and me, mega jerk.
Mega jerk. Mega jerk. Mega jerk is what I did last night.
They never learn.
And when will you learn, pussycat?
Well, not gonna learn how to shoot straight, that's for sure.
Scorponok, terrorize!
So he's seeing bits of what's already occurred, and this part here, which is yet to occur. Another maximal symbol on those missiles, I'm pretty sure.
There, good as new.
Yeah, and twice as loud. Ow!
Hey, Big Bida. What happened out there?
Pih! You took a Predacon missile right in the chest plate. Guess you aren't as fast as you thought, huh, kiddo?
And you got my comm link trashed.
Hey, at least I proved it worked.
Rhinox said you reported something about a mega cannon.
Well, that's right. It must have blown off their ship in the crash. Scorponok found it, so I catted in and got the drop on him.
Why is he being so cocky?
Say that you were the one that got dropped.
And he eats the whole apple core there.
He got behind me, and when I tried to take him out...
Scorponok capitalized on your mistake.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow, he finally admits it.
On that comm link for a month, and he doesn't have the components to build another one. You've cost us an advantage.
I couldn't let him get away with that cannon.
Oh yeah, you took care of that real good, kiddo.
Back off, rat face! Or I'll have a little vermin on a stick for lunch.
You back off, now!
Sorry, Optimus,
Sorry isn't enough. We're in a war for survival, and you treat it like a game. If you obeyed orders, all this could have been avoided. I'm going to call Dinobot in from the perimeter. We'll need his knowledge of the Predacon base to do something about that mega cannon.
Well, I can get inside their base. Let me do it, Optimus.
You've done enough.
Yeah. I remember how, like, intensely they laid it on Cheetor. But yeah, it's really hitting a bit harder watching him go through it now. I almost feel sorry for the cat. So he got shot pretty badly. Here's what I'm kind of internally laughing about right now is that was a really bad wound. You know, he went offline. They would have had to put him in the CR chamber or effect some kind of surgical repairs, which is, I guess, what they did maybe. Or maybe they just had him in the CR tank and then they had him laid out on that table for waiting for him to wake up. As he does wake up, the first thing that Rhinox actually opines is the fact that, and you got my comm link trashed. It's like, I just got shot with a missile with a hole in my fucking chest. You're worried about your comm link. But all things considered, and Cheetor being Cheetor at this point, just not listening to anyone, it takes like all of them to just chastise him in like an intervention style meeting, just as we saw now. Just to get him to fucking admit that he fucked up. Even as he's laying there, he's trying to talk himself up, saying he got the drop on Scorponok, and yeah, it's kind of frustrating to watch him trying to just... I guess what I said about Dinobot earlier is he's trying to be something he's not, or at least he's trying to be something he's not yet. Right? He hasn't earned any of it. He's trying to fast track himself into like badass status, but he's a kid. And apparently he doesn't really listen to anyone or take any orders. So yeah, you can see how that could be problematic. And Primal, quite rightly, reprimands him pretty heavily and says, we're in a fucking war for survival and you're treating it like a game. What a line. What a fucking line. That's a great line to write. That, among so many other cool bits of dialogue throughout the series, is what sold me on the fact that the creatives are treating it like a serious story with serious characters that have repercussions for their actions, and you're constantly reminded of the fact that, yeah, this is a war for survival now. It's not a picnic, and it's not meant to be enjoyable, and at any moment you could cost your own side an advantage, and that advantage could mean the difference between life and death. So Primal, quite rightly reminding the young Cheetor that you can't just go off half-cocked, especially not in situations where you can't even guarantee that communication is going to be up and running, let alone, you know, your safety. So we got a bit of that. Now we're at a point where he's been told off by almost everyone, and he's gonna get all up in his feelings and run out of this room, run out of the Axelon, and try to fix this shit himself by trying to sneak into the Pred base and get the cannon or some shit. Just some dumb Cheetor shit. So let's get back to it, shall we?
I better come up with a plan. If I know Optimus, he'll want to move fast.
Yeah, with me in front. No thanks, partner. The pussycat got us into hot oil. Let him dance into Predacon HQ.
Well, at least I'm not afraid to do it.
You know, that is why you mess up, kiddo. You don't have the sense to be afraid.
Oh, yeah? I'll show you what I have the sense to do, Motorhead. You and Big Bot.
Oh yeah! We need an oh yeah meter.
What?
You know what he's gonna do.
He's just grinding his gears. I mean, even he's not dumb enough to disobey the great Optimus again.
Oh.
Okay, I'll stop him. If I can catch him. Sheesh, the rotten little geist.
I love how they openly acknowledge that it was really, 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 really dumb of him to just disobey his orders yet again.
Gotta move quickly.
Gotta go fast. Come on, Sonic. Come on, Sonic. Or are you Tails?
Now is wait for the right...
You're more like a Tails to me. You got a tail. And you're orangey. Tarantulas. Again, how he gets his dates. It's how he scores his dates, how he gets his meals, how he captures, you know, enemy combatants. You know, this is kind of what he does. This is his pad. You know, it's a bachelor pad. You don't want to know what that webbing's made of.
What?
No, you don't, Cheetor. Don't even ask. Come on, don't even ask. Love this part.
Welcome.
Oh, brother. You need a maintenance bot badly.
Hey, he's amused by his jokes, at least.
You're in a stasis web. It drains away the energy, but leaves the flesh alive. At its current setting, this will take only a few moments. But I find a slower pace makes the vital fluids taste so much better.
Why is he like this?
Whoa, you're one space-happy spider.
Was he like this before he became a spider alternate?
I'm afraid the web makes that impossible. Cat you are and cat you stay. And when your energy's gone,
I feast. You creepy ass motherfucker. Gotta say, man, Alec Willow's fucking just played the shit out of that character, man. Might be up there as one of the best voice work that we got on the show. Gotta be.
Frontal assault now, before Megatron has a chance to use the cannon against us.
Impossible. The modifications would be too extensive. He's more likely to emplace it as a defensive weapon. The question is, where? Rhinox, this is your specialty. Take a look. And where's Rattrap? I'll need him to scout.
Still talking to Cheetor.
We waste too much time talking. We must act.
Rushing in headlong won't help.
No, now! Destroy them!
That last line by Dinobot didn't really make sense to me, ever. Because I think he says that in... They sometimes recycle dialogue and put them in other lines, or they recycle like grunts and noises. But sometimes wholesale, they'll take a whole line and use it somewhere else.
Man, I must have a bug in my program to be doing this for that dumb feline.
Yeah, call them dumb again. So I think in that line, it didn't fit. Why would he respond with that? No, destroy them.
Smelly stink even in this sludge box.
Felt like it was grammatically incorrect.
Hey, something's weird here.
That's what she said. I love why it's like cat-shaped. Does it change the shape depending on the animal? Kind of looks like a badge though, like it's on the actual thing.
Webface. I don't have any real blood, just mech fluid.
Oh, my filters will adjust. It is the act I enjoy more than the nourishment.
You know, you are one sick bug, Eight Eyes.
The rat!
You got it. Now, what do you say you let my pal go?
Tarantulas, terrorize! Rattrap, maximize!
Yeah. Always love this tussle between the two.
For lunch, web breath.
Idiot.
Thermal
Thermoscan. Yeah, love this scene. Rattrap using his, well, learning to adapt. He knows that he can't hide, so he's got to, yeah, this is the first time we get to see those wrist compartments and the bombs that he usually keeps there and other random assortment of things. In this case, he's got like a little, what he calls a hot box, to mimic his heat signature. So the question you gotta ask is, how does he have the things that he specifically needs in the times that he specifically needs it? You can't plan for that. You can't pack like 50 different things. Maybe he conjures them somehow when he needs them.
Fell for the old hot box.
He did actually do a tisk 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 there. See, I remember everything. Seriously. He shoots him in the legs. Flat out. Actually shot his leg right off. I love this fucking show. He just get dismembered like every episode.
Hang on, kiddo.
Unable to respond. Incorrect energy signature. Incorrect energy signature.
He's just punching both buttons though. Why?
Energy signature. Unable to respond. Incorrect energy signature. Incorrect energy signature. Incorrect energy signature. Incorrect.
Guess I'll have to use my own signature.
Unable to respond. Incorrect energy signature.
Correct energy signature. And that's the scene that Cheetor dreamed.
Hey, Ratface. What's the good word?
Game over, vermin. Give my regards to the Inferno!
Cool ass explosion. Listen to the sound effect here. Love it. Tarantulas mentioned the Inferno there. We'll get to that in a sec.
I hate that rat.
Hey, fearless leader. What's the haps?
Where have you two been?
Just hucking around. You know, Cheetor needed some activity. You were kind of rough on him before. Everybody makes mistakes, you know.
Well, maybe you're right. I'm sorry, Cheetor. I shouldn't have been so harsh.
No, you were right, Big Bot. I messed up. But I won't do it again. From now on, this cat is a team player.
I'm glad to hear it.
Did Rhinox just roll his eyes? And look how awkwardly he's fucking sitting at that table.
Thanks for not telling him about it.
Rhinox.
Kiddo, if I told Optimus about your little play date with Tarantulas, he'd kick my sweet pink butt too. And
Sweet pink butt.
ever pull a stunt like this again, I will personally rearrange your spots. Now, get out of my way. I got garbage to munch.
And thanks for saving my life, pal.
Thanks for saving my life, asshole. Shit. Okay, good news is that wasn't as annoying as I remember it. Okay, outside of the, the petulant screaming and the, oh yeah! Like, there's got to be a little compilation I got to put together of just the oh yeah moments.
Oh yeah?
Outside of that, it was really just half the episode was just Cheetor eating humble pie and learning to enjoy the taste. Because he has no humility in him. So he's got to learn the hard way, and holy fuck. No better way to learn than a near-death experience and then suddenly unlocking clairvoyance or clairvoyant abilities. It's kind of interesting that I didn't notice that being a recurring theme in the series when I initially watched it, or perhaps in subsequent reviewings. I think there was some activity with that in season 3, perhaps, where he had some portentous visions. I don't know when, I can't even pinpoint when he would have done it again, and I remember almost every single part of every episode, so that part's going to be really interesting to revisit, to see if that's actually another story thread that was weaved in there somehow. So yeah, it was actually not as annoying as one expects. I like Rattrap's character development in here as well. Everyone got a little moment to shine, actually. Let's take it step by step. So obviously the two mains in this particular episode will be, Rattrap and Cheetor, and Tarantulas. So Rattrap still, maintaining his whole, why do I have to fucking help him or anyone? Just let them sort it out. He said the same shit in episode 2 when Optimus and Dinobot are facing each other on the bridge. He's like,
let Chopper Face and the Boss Monkey duke it. No fur off of my tail.
I'm perfectly fine here. Let the pussycat fix this shit. He's the one who fucked it in the first place. So we know what his initial reactions are always going to be. Like, he's always going to be a little hesitant to do the things that you want him or expect him to do. Like, he's always going to have a reason to push back, right? He wants to be left the fuck alone most of the time. So when push comes to shove, though, that's the kind of person Rattrap can be, is actually a very competent soldier, very good at espionage, at breaking into things, sneaking around, and as we'll see in, I guess, Chain of Command, he's actually considered to be a semi-competent leader if and when he needs to be, which he steps up to do in, I don't know, he feels like he took on more of a leadership role in the Agenda trilogy. That's during Agenda Part 3, I'm thinking, when he kind of just took the balls of the bull by the horns. The fuck did I do to that metaphor? Took the balls of the bull by the horns and did his thing in that episode. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. It's the third time I've said that in 3 episodes. So we had, just a little showcase ep. No mention or sight nor sound of most of the Predacons, so most of them were missing. You saw just a few glimpses of them installing the cannon, but you only really got to sort of interact with Scorponok and Tarantulas from the beginning of the episode, and then Tarantulas for the rest of the episode as the as the episode's resident Hannibal Lecter. This is going to open up some interesting discussions. I want to know more about this. Just because they have taken on the beast forms, are these beast forms really like ingratiating themselves into their robot personalities. It's not just their disguise, like a physical disguise. It actually bleeds into their personalities and affects them. It has to be, otherwise Cheetor wouldn't be growling after every fucking sentence. You know what I mean? And then Rattrap wouldn't be talking about, I got garbage to munch. It's like, were you munching garbage before you had a rat alternate mode? Well, you know what I mean? So that has to be the case. You take on that alt mode, whatever traits that it has as an animal is now part of you, and you're kind of dealing with that at the same time. Yeah, it's really interesting. We saw in his dream sequence, which is very cool, we got to see Cybertron that early in the piece in just episode 3. Really cool sort of dream version of it. Actually, no, then we did see the Predacons, technically. We saw them in the dream sequence. Yeah, we saw Megatron, Waspinator, I think Pterosaur get shot up, Megatron's head fly off and his teeth crack comically. But at the very beginning we saw Starscream in jet form, zooming off. It was just for a brief second, like second and a half cameo appearance. But then we saw Tarantulas be this looming figure, which wasn't portentous. It was just him playing out the sequence of events that got him shot, which was Tarantulas surprising him from behind, and then Scorponok transforming and shooting him. So they were in there for that reason. But then he had the portentous part of it, which was Rattrap appearing out of nowhere and swiping a knife at him randomly. Which, if you're 1996-97 me watching that, I legitimately was like, what? Like, it really did make me go, huh? What is that? What does that have to do with anything? But then, you know, okay, he's having a dream, so you really can just put in whatever you want. And generally, when you're having these dream sequences with characters and TV shows of this nature, then more often than not, they're like kind of portentous dreams that they're kind of seeing things play out before they play out. And sure enough, we see that same scene when Rattrap finally cuts the stasis web and cuts Cheetor free from Tarantulas' lair. Tarantulas has a lair because he's a spider, so he's got to have some creepy underground lair, of course, playing into the spider-ness of his nature. I like the fact that he's just got some machine that does this. You know, he's a tech guy, so he can whip up whatever the fuck he wants. So he's whipped up a machine. Somehow it looks like he's prefabbed it for Cheetor, but I think what's more likely is that that animal shape changes on the machine depending on who or what is on it. But then he's talking about, okay, he doesn't have blood, so what's he gonna like feed on? He's like, well, I've got filters. My filters will adjust. Like, oh, well, shit, alright, well, guess you thought of everything. Go ahead, man, suck me dry. That's what he said. Again, if he was in a spider alt mode, would he even be talking about sucking vital fluids? Was that even something that he would do as just a one mode Cybertronian? It's very, like, it's pretty intense taking on these alt modes. You really have to understand how much it affects their personality. It has to. These aren't inherent personalities that we're seeing. It can't be. Outside of Megatron and Optimus, you'd think, but they're in the same boat. They take on their gorilla traits. Optimus is a lot more authoritative in this episode. He's not taking too much smack from anyone. After 2 episodes of doing that, taking people's shit, it seems like he's already like had enough, and he's not messing around. And Megatron with his T-Rex mode, yeah, I don't know, like they're all taking on their alt mode personas of what you think the animal would have as a human-like personality. Well, what else did we see in this episode? So we got, yeah, I think I mentioned it right at the end. Rhinox. Rhinox is a G, man. Rhinox just does not give a fuck. He's just shaking his head at Cheetor most of the time. And then if you catch him in beast mode, Rhinox, Dinobot, and Optimus are at the command center, and they're just still discussing plans and shit. They're all in beast mode. And Rhinox is sitting there as well on his ass in beast mode with his 2 front legs up on the command console. And I swear he rolled his eyes. He rolled his eyes at Cheetor and Rattrap during that scene. So yeah, we didn't get too much from anyone else, but it was still like you know, you still got little bits and pieces of what you need. Dinobot was still being Dinobot. He was being pushy. He just wants to go headlong into battle because he's still got a very personal axe to grind against Megatron in particular. So anytime they do come head to head, he relishes it and he goes straight for Megatron. You'll see that, I think, in, again, Chain of Command when they battle. But yeah, just a good character building episode, I'd say, is what you can really just describe it as. Very beautiful to look at. Very pretty. Well directed. The fight scene, again, between Tarantulas and Rattrap was pretty cool. Rattrap showing his prowess, and we're going to see a lot more of that prowess on display as he starts to reveal more and more of his particular set of skills. Some trivia, I guess. So one thing that the IMDb trivia pointed out, which I think was just worth pointing out in general, is that Primal mentioned that it took Rhinox a month to cobble together the comm link that Cheetor was kind of road testing in the beginning of the episode. So it means that at least a month has passed since they hit the planet, right? Well, you can count it from the end of Ep 2. Ep 1 and Ep 2 look like it took place within like 24 to 48 hours. So you can still count it as like a month. So they've been there for about a month. But it was also the really good way to introduce things that get used a lot. And things, you know, again, the writers are very thoughtful with how they do this. So this is the road testing of a comm link, which then gets upgraded to actually be included inside their bodies. So it's like it's infused in their bodies in future. They just kind of tap their shoulders usually, and there's a comm link there. And the trivia says that Rhinox presumably upgraded them to compensate for the lost comm link that they had. Again, Cheetor's dream, the Decepticon Starscream can be seen as an F-15 Eagle jet flying over Cybertron for a few seconds, and you can see the Decepticon symbol on his wing. It says this was the first direct reference Beast Wars made to its predecessor, the Transformers, but it isn't, because we covered that in Ep 1 and 2. They mentioned the Great War, they mentioned Cybertron, they mentioned Energon. Plenty of references already. Now, a lot of these IMDb trivia points seem to always mention the Japanese episodes, which was like that goofy dub shit that they made that I have no fucking interest in at all. I think it is, or at least this is like just the translation of some of the episode titles. So in Japan, this episode was called Cheetah's no Kiki, or Cheetor's Crisis. Cheetor's Crisis. I called him Cheetos. Fucking Cheetos, what? And then this was in the spoiler section. For the first time in the series, Cheetor starts to have visions of events before they occur. In this episode, Cheetor has a brief vision of Tarantulas and Rattrap before his interaction with either actually happens. He also predicts the arrival of Starscream in the episode Possession. So once again, laying down seeds, but I don't think they hadn't decided on bringing Starscream back, because that happens pretty late into season 1. I think that's like up to episode 21, 22, something like that. But it is interesting that Cheetor had visions. I'm not sure if they really expanded on that in a big way. I mean, I think we get a bit more of that in the Spark, right? Now that I'm just trying to rack my brain around like any kind of surreal moments where Cheetor's inside of his own head, the Spark definitely comes to mind. He's plugged into the protoform that eventually becomes Airazor, and Rhinox is plugged in as well, and they're having an interaction talking about the nature of sparks. But then when he wakes up, Rhinox isn't conscious of that at all. So what the fuck's going on with Cheetor? That's a really good question. Did we touch on that throughout the series? Why is he someone who has visions? I'm kind of curious about this. I need to start Googling to see if there's any kind of more precedence for this throughout the series. Outside of that, a lot of entertaining episode. I did notice the animation, everything was moving a little slower and a bit more like, I just love the movements of the characters in this episode and a lot of the other eps, because it feels very human, Everything's kind of moving at a regular pace, right? There's no frantic sort of pace here. Things are just happening as they should in real time, and that's really refreshing, you know, for a cartoon. So cool. Now, for absolutely no reason other than the fact that I've established this is going to be a recurring thing, how about Beast Wars and Sopranos? Now, I don't know about if I made the right character choices here, but I've got some quotes of Tony in therapy with Dr. Melfi, and because we don't really have too many female or any female characters in the mix at the moment, and I'm not sure if I can do a good Air Razor or Black Arachnia. I'm not going to make Tony Soprano Rattrap because I think it kind of works. He kind of sounds like a made man half the time, Rattrap, or at least the way Scott McNeil voices him. And Dr. Melfi, I'm just going to make him, I'm going to make that Rhinox, you know, because I feel like that's Rattrap's best bud, technically. So, you know, they could talk to each other about anything. So here we go. Beast Wars Sopranos. Yeah, you know where I was yesterday when you called? I don't know. I was outside a whorehouse while a guy that works for me was inside beating the shit out of a guy that owes me money. Broke his arm. Put a bullet in his kneecap. How'd that make you feel? Wished it was me in there. Giving the beating or taking it? Yeah. You know, sometimes what happens in here is like taking a shit. Yeah, okay. Although I prefer to think of it more like childbirth. Yeah, trust me. It's like taking a shit. Okay, how about Christopher Moltisanti? It's gotta be Cheetor. It has to be. So I'll end it with this one. This is between a conversation between Tony and Chris. And Christopher is apparently stoned in this scene. Yeah, been wanting to talk to you. Oh yeah? Been wanting to talk to you too. Yeah, I'll go first. I gotta make it my #1 priority to limit my exposure to potentially damaging conversations and wiretaps, shit like that. Sure, guy in your position. So over the next couple of years, more and more, I'm gonna be giving my orders through you. And then finally only through you. You got that, Spots? And what about Sil? You got that with him and Paulie. Those other guys, Rhinox, Optimus, one thing they're not my blood. You hear what I'm saying to you? It's a matter of trust. That's very wise. Sil's a good consigliere. He's gonna continue on as such. But he's no fucking spring chicken either. Yeah, on the other hand, there's no reason to be giving him a fucking attitude either. No, of course not. There's gonna be a period of transition. Jesus Christ. You're gonna take this family into the 21st century, Spots. We're already in the 21st century, though. Whatever you say, Rattrap. I'd follow you into the gates of hell. And we're at the end of another episode review, people. Thank you so much for your time. Next up on the docket is the episode we've mentioned a few times so far. It is episode 4, Equal Measures, which is another Cheetor-centric one, or related to Cheetor's shenanigans. And we should see that one coming within about a week's time. So thanks for your time in checking these out. Again, if you want to sort of rack your brains and start plucking those member berries, feel free to comment or correct me or set any records straight, or, you know, share in some of this nostalgic hoo-ha that I'm splurging all over the interwebs right now. And I will see you on the next one. Mojo out.
Cheetos!